Welcome to the Sober Strength podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Karajat. Thanks for showing up yourself today. This episode is publishing on Wednesday, October 9th, 2024. Sober October is a big deal and a big kind of annual event, if you will, for so many people who just want to take a step back from alcohol. And I thought it'd be great for this particular episode to focus on non-alcoholic beverages. So I'm joined today for this episode by an awesome woman named Deb Podlogar, best last name of any guest I've had on the show. She goes by Mocktail Mom. She's built up a large, loyal following on social media. And she's an awesome person to talk to. I've been meaning to do an episode on non-alcoholic beverages for a while. And a mutual acquaintance of Deb and ours actually recommended that I get in touch with her to have her on the show to talk about this topic. Non-alcoholic beverages are awesome. I use them daily. And I think it's just a great topic for people to learn about and understand. And then Deb does a great job in this episode, not only of just making me laugh constantly, which is an awesome time, but she also gives some great recipes. I will link to those in the episode description. So whether you're doing Sober October or not, and you just want to get some good ideas about non-alcoholic beverages and learn about the industry and even use these recipes and these tools year-round, I thought it was just an awesome time to focus on this. So without further ado, welcome to the Sober Strength Show, Deb Podlogar, the Mocktail Mom. Live deep. Do it. I'm super excited to have you. Welcome to the Sober Strength Show. We're just laughing about the pronunciation of this awesome woman's last name that's going to join us today. It's Deb Podlogar. How you doing, Deb?
I'm doing great. Sounds like a beer, a non-alcoholic beer. I think I should start a new brand, the Podlogers.
I'll one up you on your entrepreneurial ideas. I think Podlogar sounds like a podcast about beer.
Oh,
think about it. Did you ever even think of that?
Never thought of it. That's a great idea. Yes, we could start it. Let's start a whole side. We could both have another podcast. Talk about the non-alcoholic beers. Yes.
The Podlogar podcast.
The Podlogar podcast. That would be good. Thank you for the idea. Let's run with it.
You're very welcome. This is going to be a fun conversation. I can tell. Hopefully anyone listening can feel it. We've been, Deb and I have been vibing a little bit offline, just connecting and whatnot. And super pumped to have on the show because Sober Strength has been a show for 10 months, and we've never done a focused conversation around non-alcoholic beverages. And Deb, you don't know this, but I have this idea board, and it's been there, and it's been circled. Aww. And I've just been kind of waiting and wanting to find the right person to do this episode. So thanks for being here.
Oh, it makes me so happy to be here. It makes me so happy to, circle that, cross it off. Let's talk about the non-alcoholic drinks. Let's talk about all the fun things that you can drink.
And here we go. And I realize the fun isn't over, and I did a bad job introducing. So can you introduce yourself, including Mocktail Mom, and just give a little intro, and then we'll get into how you find yourself where you are, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Well, I broke up with Chardonnay on December 31st, 2020. I don't know if that's what you want me to share right now, but that is how I kind of fell into becoming Mocktail Mom on Instagram and elsewhere. Just a mom. I have 2 daughters. I live outside Louisville, Kentucky. Did not grow up here, but love Kentucky. Love the people of Kentucky. And I just stopped drinking. But I never in a million years thought I would become sober. That word scared me. That wasn't my goal. I really just wanted to moderate. My drinking really cranked up in 2020. And so we can get into that a little bit more, but just mom.
A mom with a huge following, an inspirational mom with an awesome story and a big following on social media and a podcast of your own and all sorts of ways to help people on their journey. So I think you're doing great work, and thanks again for being here.
Thank you. And I have a book coming out.
What's it called?
It's called
Podlogar Tales?
It should be called Podlogers. No, it's called The Happiest Hour, Delicious Mocktails for a Fabulous Mom's Night In. It actually comes out on Election Day because America is going to need a mocktail or two. Most likely.
Or you're in Kentucky, or they're going to need a bourbon. And
bourbon, yes. They're going to be wanting to drink bourbon, yeah. So we're going to give them some options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give them
I
other
love it. So
options.
you got a book, but we'll kind of get into your narrative here and then go into no, non-alcoholic beverages, the industry recipes that you might recommend. But so let's go back in time to 2020. You said it was September. Is that when it was?
December 31st. It was the very last day of
December. I'm
2020. It was
sorry.
my first day. No, you're fine. Yeah, it was my first day alcohol free. Yep.
So take me there.
Yeah.
What was happening more kind of specifically, physically,
hmm
emotionally, mentally, leading up
hmm
to that point? And then we'll talk about that pivot that you made. But what was
Yeah.
happening at that time?
Um, at that point, I was looking into 2021 when I was going to turn 50. I turned 50 in 2021. And my 40s had been really, really hard. I have two daughters. My older daughter at the time in my 40s got really sick with aplastic
Mm,
anemia, like overnight. She went from being super healthy to the next day having bruises all over her body, looking like,
mm.
I mean, it was just so bizarre. So we got admitted to the pediatric oncology hematology unit and spent 160 nights in and out of the hospital. Well, 160 nights in the hospital, I should say, overnight, but that was over a period of over a year.
Oh
She
my
was
God.
very, very, very sick. She got treated at the NIH, and is the picture of health now. All that to say, that experience, I wasn't drinking at the time. I wasn't a drinker, didn't grow up drinking. I didn't grow up in a household where alcohol played a big role in our family at all. Um, but then really hard things started happening in my 40s, and kind of the first domino, I guess, to fall was my daughter getting really sick, and wasn't drinking when she was in the hospital, but I think the PTSD afterwards, like when she was in
Mm.
remission, and just the trauma of, I mean, she was so sick, like 107 fever, double pneumonia. I didn't
Oh
think
my
she was
God.
coming home. I mean, there were so many complications, but um, all that to say, when she was better, it was kind of like, just the shock of it all. And then my marriage that was already having difficulties before she was sick, we got separated, got
Mm.
separated and divorced after she was well.
Oh,
That was
bless you.
horrible. It was horrible. So when my girls would go to their dads for the weekends, Chardonnay became a little bit of like a BFF. She became my
Mm.
new companion. We had just moved to Kentucky. We had all come here together and then got separated. So I didn't know a lot of people in town, and alcohol just started playing a larger role in my life. Had never had a front seat role or even driving the car of my life, but it had gone from, really riding the back seat or the trunk to like riding shotgun. And now alcohol was like not just, wanting to drink when they would go to their dad's every other weekend, but it was like now, like, okay, now I'm reading the bedtime story a little faster, because I wanted to
Mm.
like, let's finish up here, kids. Like, okay, bath time's over. Let's go. I want to like flip the pages really fast so I can go sit in the chair, turn on the TV and drink my wine and just
Such a good
zone out.
visual. It's
Yeah,
a good
just zone
visual.
out, right? Of just
Yeah.
like, just that evening routine of like, and how hard it is to be a single mom, so it was really, really difficult. So that experience. And then both of my parents had dementia, Alzheimer's and dementia. So, you know, helping them through that, helping my sister who lived near them, just all that awful experience. Then I was diagnosed with breast cancer,
Oh,
and I had a double mastectomy, and my mom passed away like 3 weeks later. So there were all these like really hard things that kind of all happened within just a few years of,
mm.
within that decade or so, but in a few years of that time, that just made alcohol helped it in the sense of like it numbed the pain of what I was going through. I mean, it
Yeah.
was doing its job, it was numbing me out. I wasn't, I didn't have a rock bottom, but I had so many mornings where I'd wake up and look in the mirror and be like, oh my gosh, I did it again. I
Mm-hmm.
did it again.
Mm-hmm.
I promised myself I'd have one glass of wine, and instead I wake up at 3 a.m. It's like the room is spinning, like,
No.
or the
You're
Netflix is saying, do you want to continue watching? And I'm like, what? Who's
right.
watching what?
Right. Watching what? Yeah.
Yeah,
What is your daughter okay now?
she is. Yeah. So her name's Hannah, which means
Hannah.
God's grace. And
Mm,
she's the
beautiful.
picture of God's grace and God's healing hand on her life. So she went into remission. Her blood counts are totally normal now. She's doing great. She did not have to have a bone marrow transplant. We were headed that way. We had a donor lined up, but we ended up, her body ended up she recovered before then. But she's doing great. She got married last May. So
Congrats. There you
yes,
go.
yes. So yeah, so thankful.
Yeah. So, gosh, so much to respond to. And I say this, what I've learned so much, like a common theme from the guests that come on this show and is consistent in my own life is normally when there is an uptick in drinking or reliance on drinking, there's something going on consciously or even subconsciously below the surface that's triggering it, right? And you used PTSD earlier, so I'm going to just zero in on the word trauma. I had a psychotherapist come on the show once and defined trauma in a way that I hadn't heard, and it stuck with me. And he defined it as, not specifically, but this is me paraphrasing. He said, trauma occurs when a safe pattern is broken, right? So like something you're accustomed to that you rely on, the pattern of the world around you. It could be in a relationship. You think about like sexual abuse. The pattern is people treat you kindly and with love, and then something very either violent emotionally or physically happens, and then that pattern is broken. And it's how do you get back to the normal that was before that, right? So with that definition kind of floating out there to respond to your story, think about how many patterns were broken. I mean, the health of your child, the health of your marriage, the health of your parents, right? And how about like what was happening environmentally? Let's not forget it was 2020, December of 2020.
Yeah, and then 2020 came.
That year broke a hell of a lot of patterns for a hell of a lot of people with COVID. So don't mean to chuckle, but like there is, it's just as I'm listening, I'm like, oh my God, like no wonder you would turn to something for help, right? And unfortunately, for anyone that's turned to alcohol for help, to use your words, like it helps, but
it did its job.
Did its job in the short term, but then cumulatively long term. And I digress, but gosh, so much happened to you in 1 year. Or not 1 year, something several years.
Yeah, a few years.
Yeah, that must have been hard.
It was, and you don't even, you don't realize it, right? You're just like going through it. It's like, what is happening? But I will say, what I didn't understand about alcohol was that not only was it numbing my pain, it was numbing my joy. And I have so much joy. Like I really am a glass is half full, glass is overflowing, like life is good. I genuinely am that type of a person. But it was numbing all of that. It was like this heavy blanket on my emotional well-being. Like not a person who struggles with anxiety or depression. And I was feeling so depressed, would wake up with such anxiety. And that's not, not typically who I am. But so all that to say. But yeah, that's such a good definition of trauma because I can remember coming home from the hospital, like she'd be in the hospital for, 5 weeks at a time. We'd come home maybe for 6 days or something. And then we'd end up back in the hospital. I can remember coming home and like the calendar, the paper calendar in the kitchen was like, say, April and it's June. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I haven't been in this house. I haven't been in my kitchen. We're not like, the pattern of life is completely in a blender right now.
Hi, I'm Jesse Karajat, founder of Altum Fitness, where our mission is to help you break free from unhealthy habits and mindsets to find true physical and emotional fitness. The Altum Fitness app is a world-class fitness companion offering expertly designed workout programs personalized to any goal and any experience level. By joining this community, you'll gain access to top-notch expert training programs, nutritional guidance, habit change programs, and so much more, all tailored to help you achieve your unique goals. By joining Altum Fitness, you'll also gain access to our exclusive companion community, the Altum Tribe. In the Tribe, you'll find access to expert coaches, habit change programs, live challenges, events, and so much more. It's a space to connect, learn, grow, and be motivated as you navigate your fitness journey. For one low monthly subscription, you'll be granted full access to our fitness app, community, exclusive challenges and content, and so much more. So join Altum Fitness today and become part of our amazing community. Download now and let's live deep.
Yeah, and you lost control. You lost control of things that we all want to have control of, like the health of our loved ones and marriage and things. So when you lose agency, I feel like that could be another. That when you just feel out of control, you just want to turn off your mind from,
turn it off. Yeah, that's
for
exactly
sure.
right. Turn it off. Yep.
So how did you kind of fight back and claw out of the reality that you were relying on Chardonnay? I was going to say that BITCH Chardonnay, but
Yeah, well, she is. Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
How did you move in a more healthy direction?
That's so funny. The word Chardonnay. Sorry, I was pushing when my little one. I have two girls. My younger daughter. I was walking into the Costco wine area. She's in the cart. I'm pushing her. She's learning how to spell. And I'm like, okay, well, we're just going to stop here. I'm going to grab some Chardonnay. And she's like trying to sound it out. She's like, Chardonnay. I'm like, oh my gosh. That should have been a wake-up call, right?
Yeah.
My 5-year-old's trying to spell out Chardonnay. For me, what really changed, honestly, looking at my 50th birthday was coming. I know that sounds silly, but it was just like, it was like, okay, what am I doing with my life? This is not who I am. Like, I know I lived 30 plus years without alcohol playing a big role in my life. And suddenly, like, now I'm thinking about it when I'm driving home. Like, do I have a bottle of wine at home? Or, okay, if I finish that bottle, do I have another bottle? You know, do I have a backup? Or if we go out to eat, you know, so it was all that headspace that was so crowded, and I wanted to quiet that down. And I just knew alcohol was not helping anything. It was not helping my life. It wasn't adding anything to my life. So I don't know. There was not like a rock bottom. I had a guest on my podcast. She shared how she had lots of pebble moments instead of like a rock bottom moment. And I feel like I had that, like, so many mornings of just waking up and feeling such shame. I was so sick of dragging around a U-Haul. I mean, I literally felt like during the day, a U-Haul of shame. And then 5 o'clock would come again, or 7 o'clock. And it was like, well, it's okay. I'll just have a glass of wine.
You forget it. Yeah. You forget about it.
Yep.
The hangovers ran off. I had a lot of pebble moments. I also had a boulder moment. I mean, maybe not a boulder, being dramatic. It was more of a brick. But I remember hearing about when I was younger. Actually, I'll use a very specific example. One of my absolute best friends lost his father to alcohol. And what I mean by that, just drank himself until his health completely deteriorated and passed away. And my friend used to tell me how his dad would sneak in the garage and drink. And it got to a point where it's like it wasn't even sneaking anymore towards the end. Like, he would just basically go out there and everyone would be like, oh, that's dad out in the garage, right? And I remember in my 20s being like, how could he? I would never. There's kids inside. Why is he doing that? And my brick moment would be, here I was in my late 30s, keeping a bottle of scotch in the garage drawer and putting a flag over it, so that just in case someone who goes in that drawer, who I know no one would, they still wouldn't find it. And I remember just being out there. I would walk out there because my head was spinning, dealing with the stress of my corporate job and, you know, trying to be like a perfect dad and a perfect husband. Woe is me, right? I still went into the garage and I found myself like taking a swig out of a bottle of scotch. And I remember like the next morning coming out and seeing that the bottle wasn't full anymore. And it was, you know, 1/3 gone in one night. And I remember sitting there thinking, who the hell am I becoming? You know, but like you, I allowed alcohol to turn into, my words, not yours, but a medicine. Because there was underlying, you know, mental health stuff going on that was just unaddressed. But I have my pebble moments, and I'm sure everyone listening does as well.
That's such a good description. Yeah.
Thanks. So let's, if we could, want to venture into the NA space. So look, you know, I think there are many people, and God bless them, that decide to make a change in their life with any substance, but not everyone makes a pivot into becoming who you are today, which is a influential content creator in the NA space. So how did you find yourself doing what you're doing now?
It's so funny to hear that. So I'm 52 years old, but I sometimes make videos in my robe with my crazy gray hair all over the place. So whatever. I'm just very much who I am, you know. I've just embraced it. Yeah, just, you know what, just being very real. Honestly, when I first stopped drinking, I don't keep receipts for anything, but I do have the receipt from the very first day alcohol-free, December 31st. I went to Total Wine, which is where I bought all my Chardonnay and my wine. And I bought a non-alcoholic wine that very first day. For me, having a replacement, I, for whatever reason, right away, it was like, okay, I need something else to drink. Like, what am I going to drink then? If I'm not going to drink, you know, my typical Kim Crawford or whatever I'm having, I need something else to drink. So I bought a non-alcoholic wine that first night. And then about 10 days into my alcohol-free journey on January 9th, I was so bored in the evenings. Like, and people would say like, oh, we'll do puzzles, you know, or like doing a challenge. Like, do, crossword stuff or do puzzles or do coloring pages. And I was like, I hate all that stuff. I don't want to do puzzles. I don't want to do coloring pages. So I was finding non-alcoholic drinks and I was trying to make mocktails. And I thought, well, maybe I'll start like an Instagram and start sharing like what I'm finding. And because there must be other people who are also looking for non-alcoholic options. And I also wanted a place to share how hard it was in the beginning. For me, it was very hard in the beginning not to drink. And I hadn't told anybody in my life yet that I was taking a break because I was so embarrassed. I thought if I tell people that I'm taking a break, they're going to think I have a problem. If I tell my husband, he's going to be like, oh, I see you have a heavy pour there, And I was like, I didn't want to say anything. I was like, let me just take a break and see how this goes. So anyway, it became like a little outlet to share with strangers how hard it was to be alcohol free. And that there were also, I was finding things to drink. So here's an option. So one of my first videos was like a spicy margarita.
And what would spicy marg? That's my wife's go-to, by the way.
I think that's one of the best ones to start with. Yep. The real one. Well, yes, best. Yeah, real or not, real or not real, leaded or unleaded, either way, deliciousness.
Leaded, thank you, leaded. That's what I meant to say because it's
leaded. Yeah, leaded or unleaded, delicious.
What was the initial reception like when you went out, and what year was this when you started going more public with this?
This was January 9th, 2021. So it was people were still in the pandemic, right? We were still home-ish. People were starting to go out more and stuff. I guess depending on what state you lived in. But people in Kentucky were starting to go out a little bit more. So yeah.
Okay. So and I'll say, if you look at, and I have looked at this, just data, retail data around the non-alcoholic beverage industry. I think last I saw an article from a reputable source, it was the third fastest growing retail segment. But it wasn't always the case. I think that has really picked up post-pandemic and specifically in the last year and a half. So initially, it feels to me like you were probably kind of out ahead of a curve there, don't you think?
Definitely. It's so funny. I don't know I wish I had looked at the hashtag mocktail back, 3 years ago, how many, now it's over 1 million, uses on just Instagram. The mocktail industry, the non-alcoholic business is booming. But yes, absolutely. In the last 18 months alone, it has exploded with brands that are entering the market. I think there's 1,500 brands, non-alcoholic options. I'm not talking about Diet Coke and Sprite. We're talking about actual alcohol-free, options for people. It's huge.
Hey, everybody. It's your host, Jesse Karajak. Quick interruption of this podcast. Look, there's a multitude of ways that we all can and should look to improve our drinking habits, right? And we talk about them all the time on this show. Things like getting in a group, being honest with people, focusing on sleep and nutrition and exercise. I can go on and on. But what most people don't know, and frankly, I didn't know, is that there is an FDA-approved medication that you can start taking. It's easily accessible and private and affordable, and you can start taking it today and start experiencing powerful benefits within days. And again, I've done it. I'm blown away by it. And I want to get the word out so that as many people as possible know that is an option that they can and should use. So there's a company called OR Health. That's OAR Health. You can text STRENGTH, that's STRENGTH, to 710-710. Again, that's STRENGTH to 710-710. You'll get a secure link. You can fill out an assessment. And if the medication is right for you, a licensed medical professional will prescribe it for you and privately, discreetly have it shipped to your home. You'll be one of over 35,000 people that have decided to take back control of their drinking through OR Health. And 76% of OR Health members report drinking less within just 2 weeks. So if you've been struggling, know that there is an incredibly powerful option out there for you. So again, STRENGTH to 710-710 to see if it's a fit. And now back to the show.
Quick aside, I have my second podcast name idea for you. If this is where if I had a producer, if I was a big deal, I'd turn to my producer and say, can you look up Mocktails as a podcast name?
Oh, yeah.
Think about it, right? The pun on words there, we're going to tell tales about mocktails, right?
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I might change the name. Maybe I'll change the name of my podcast. It's Thriving Alcohol Free, but maybe I should change it.
Mocktails.
Mocktails. Yes. I like that.
Or the Deb Podlogar podcast, just Podlogar. All right, anyway, I digress.
Podlogar, yes.
Podlogers.
Yeah, if you were Joe Rogan, you'd be like, Jamie, look that up. Jamie,
right? Can you look this up?
Jamie, can you look this up?
Is Mocktails?
Google it.
No, I'm just staring at my bathroom door. Is mocktails a thing, bathroom door? Apparently.
It is.
It is.
Yes. Yeah. No, it really has
well.
exploded. And I am not the expert on all the ingredients or anything. I'm really just a mom that stopped drinking. And I feel like I'm the welcome mat in some ways of like, come on in. There's still good things to drink and the fun is not over. I just want people to know that. So whether they're looking for something with like adaptogenics or they're looking for a 1-to-1 replacement, like a whiskey alternative, tequila alternative, or if somebody's looking for THC, that's not my thing. But there's something for everybody, wherever they are on the non-drinking spectrum.
I love it. Can we dive in? Can I
Yep.
off the cuff just kind of watch this, ready? I'm sorry, I might catch you off guard, but I'm gonna give you like a character with preferences, and then maybe you say, "Oh, this is the drink for you," and we'll start with me.
Oh gosh.
And you know, what'd be fun
Okay.
with this is I'll actually describe me, and I know my NA go-tos. Like I know what they are. Let's see if you can kind of like.
Oh gosh, I have
land
no
right. All
idea.
right,
I'm
ready?
gonna be terrible at this.
Well,
Let's go.
let's
Okay,
do
we'll
it. Let's
try.
just
I'll
do
give it a
it.
try. I'm ready.
Okay, I value fitness. I hate calories at night because I value fitness. I like sugar-free, and once again, as little calories as possible. I do like the taste of hops, if possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like to switch things up. And if I switch things up and move away from my previous poison of choice would be like an IPA or something like that. But if I switch things up because maybe like it's Colorado and the cold air is coming in and maybe I have a cigar and I want something in my other hand, I would go bourbon or scotch. So what might you recommend for someone who likes hops, is a little bit healthy, and then also likes to switch it up with bourbon a little bit? Let's go.
Jesse, I have no idea.
All right. How about this?
No.
Give me your best.
Hop water. Are you drinking any of the hop? Or drinking any of the hop waters?
This is where I turn to Jamie and be like, ring a bell. She got it correct. So
Bing. Yes.
I'm
okay. Do you like the
hop
flavored
water.
ones?
I like the lime. I like the classic lime,
Okay,
and I
yep.
like that you said adaptogen nootropics. I don't know if it's placebo for me, but I like that I know that it has theanine and it has ashwagandha. I think it's ashwagandha.
Yeah, ashwagandha. That'll help you like go to sleep, kind of help you rest. Yep. Help you calm.
So you
in the
got one.
evening.
You nailed it. Hop
Okay,
water,
bing.
I do switch it up, like sometimes just to switch it up. Hoplark is a big. I love Hoplark. They're right out here in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
And sometimes because I have nostalgia attached to Sierra Nevada just put out like a hoppy, hoppy type
nice
water or something. So,
Nice.
Yeah, you got it. 1 for 1.
Okay,
so far.
good. Okay, 1 point. All right. What about what about Brewdog? Don't they have a new location out there in Colorado?
Brewdog?
Brewdog, and they have non-alcoholic options. Yep, but I think they have something in Colorado.
Jamie, can you look that up? Is there a
Jamie, look
Brewdog
that
up here
up. Yeah.
in Colorado?
There is, I'm pretty for sure. You would love. Have you tried Go Brewing?
I haven't. This is wonderful.
Jesse, you're gonna love Go Brewing. Okay, their founder is totally into fitness.
Really?
And you will love him, Joe Chura. Yeah, you should have him on as a guest. But his non-alcoholic beers are delicious. I was not a beer person before I stopped drinking, but I love his non-alcoholic beer as well as like his like some of the sours.
Mm-hmm.
So good, yeah.
Okay,
no calories. Have you tried Amethyst?
Amethyst.
It's
No.
almost like
is that the Greek god of weightlifting?
Yes. Okay, well that would be perfect for your podcast.
Yes.
for your community. Amethyst, they have a couple different flavors, but it's clean. But it can be like a vodka replacement. But there's one that's like blueberry mint. There's a watermelon. There's a grapefruit. I'm trying to think what the other one. There's a fourth one. I can't remember.
So these are mixed drinks.
No, it would be like you could use it in a mixed drink, absolutely. Or if you wanted to keep it really simple, you could freeze it, make ice cubes out of it, and then just put sparkling water over it, and it like continues to flavor your sparkling water. And it has like a bite to it that a lot of people miss when they're not drinking. A lot of people miss that bite of alcohol. I definitely find that like in a product like Amethyst, but that's just, there's so many options. I mean, there's 1,500. So we've talked about 3 of them. So there you go.
I love it. How about for the bourbon guy or the Scotch guy? Talk about bite, right? I mean, that's a lot of times what warms you and what gives you that nostalgic feel.
Yeah.
That deep introspective feel is kind of like the warmth and the bite. What do you got for me there?
For sure. Free Spirits, delicious non-alcoholic whiskey alternative. I love, it's called Kentucky 74, Spiritless Kentucky 74. They have a cinnamon. Is it cinnamon or something like that? I forget if it's exactly cinnamon. I forget if it's like cinnamon or spice. I think it's spiced whiskey. That's what it's called. Spiced whiskey alternative. It is so good, and you can drink it neat, which, Jesse, when I stopped drinking, I didn't know what a jigger was. I didn't know what neat meant. I didn't know what a muddler was. I mean, literally, now I muddle like a mother.
Kimmy Crawford. You knew Kimmy Crawford.
I know Kim Crawford and Josh. That was it.
Okay.
They were my lovers at Total Wine.
And I wanted to say, by the way, earlier, because you started with Chardonnay, but Kim Crawford is a Sauvignon Blanc, is it not?
Oh, yes. Well, that's what she's, yeah, for sure. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
That would be what I would be drinking of hers,
But
would be the
so
Sauvignon Blanc. Yes.
I love that you learned, like, it sounds like the craft of bartending after you stopped drinking alcohol. That's hilarious.
It is the funniest thing in the world. Like, literally, now I have a muddler. I have a juice squeezer. I mean, no, I didn't have a shaker cup. I didn't own a shaker cup when I stopped drinking. So, I don't want to be a bartender. I don't want to be a mix-up. I just want to encourage people that that there's still good things to drink, and
I love it.
and to not be afraid to try new things. I think that's the most important thing. Like, especially like many women my age are coming out of mommy wine culture, and it's like, okay, there's tons of non-alcoholic wines, and that's even getting a lot better as we keep going in the non-alcoholic movement. The non-alcoholic wines continue to improve. But don't be afraid to buy a shaker cup and try making a non-alcoholic, cocktail or something. So
I'm going to say this, and so on the wine side of things. So I've tried non-alcoholic wine, but it goes back. It might have been a couple years ago, if I remember.
Okay.
And I tried one time, and I said, "Oh, that's juice. That tastes like I would give that to my kid to go to kindergarten." What I
juice
just
in
tried
a wine
there.
bottle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was my, to be fair, like that was 2 years ago, but has it gotten better since then?
It has really gotten better. Okay, so there's so many that are so good. Joyous is one. They've actually won awards up against alcoholic wines, like in blind taste tests, like in a regular wine competition. They entered and they beat out regular wine, like leaded wine. Yep.
If true, that's amazing, and
phenomenal.
I trust you. I believe it's true. Yeah,
yep.
Joyous.
The Gießen, I personally love Gießen. It's very accessible. Everybody who tries their Sauvignon Blanc loves it. Their Pinot Grigio, delicious. They have a sparkling brut that's like a great champagne alternative for the holidays. But that's available like Total Wine, Meyer. Anyway, a lot of places you can find that. And it's another one that just came out, just landed in the States. It's called Geronimo. It's out of Austria. But it's a small family vineyard, and they took 98 rated wine, and they've made it non-alcoholic. So they took a premium wine and removed the alcohol, kept all the flavor, all the aroma, everything is in there. That's brand new to the United States. I just tried it. Their red blend is phenomenal. You would never know it's non-alcoholic.
All right, let's talk about something I've been a huge fan of, Sunnyside. It's the #1 alcohol moderation app in the US, and what I love about it is that it fits perfectly into how I approach my own habits. For me, having a system to track and stay accountable is key, whether it's tracking my workouts, nutrition, or in this case, my alcohol intake. I've personally used Sunnyside with great success. You set your weekly drink goals, you track what you drink, and you get the chance to start your day off with a win each morning. What I also love about Sunnyside is that there's no pressure to quit, no judgment, just a positive approach to helping you drink less at your own pace. 96% of people using Sunnyside report drinking less within just 90 days. That's why they are our digital app partner of choice at the Sober Strength podcast. So if you've been thinking about cutting back, check out Sunnyside, download the app today, and join thousands of others taking those first steps to a healthier relationship with alcohol.
For anyone listening that right now is like pausing it and rewinding it and trying to like spell these things like a kindergartner, I'm gonna I'll do, Deb, after the fact.
I can give you the names. I can
maybe
spell
just
it out
send
for
it to
you.
me. So if you're listening, you're like trying to keep up, just scroll down and you can pause it and it's down there. Okay.
Yeah.
So Geronimo. So I've got 3 beer or traditional beer alternatives here. I just got 2 on the spirit side. Can I get one more on like that bourbon scotch rum? You gave me Free Spirits and Spiritless Kentucky. Can you think of like another good spirits replacement?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love Lyres. They're very accessible. They're even on cruise ships. They're out of Australia, but they're in the UK. They're all over the United States, Canada. They're a global brand. But they even have, and then we haven't even talked about ready to drinks, but Lyres just came out with like a ready to drink margarita in a can. So somebody, if you don't want to mix things up, if you don't even want to buy a shaker cup or dust one off, in the back of your cabinet, there's so many ready to drinks. I didn't know what an RTD. It's a ready to drink. It's just like a mocktail in a can or a cocktail in a can. So you don't have to do any mixing. You can just, pour it in a glass and you're good to go. Or put a koozie around it, stand in the cul-de-sac, and nobody would know you're not drinking.
Throw it in a cooler and just taunt police officers and make them think you're drinking, but then they pull you over and you have a ready to drink.
Non-alcoholic. Yep, non-alcoholic. Yep. So Lyres has non-alcoholic. I would say Ritual. Did I mention Ritual? They're one of the first.
You did it.
Yeah.
I've heard of them. I had their their whiskey. I don't know which kind of. I think it was a bourbon. But whiskey. it was really good.
Yep, they have a rum. That was one of the very first. That was the very first non-alcoholic tequila that I purchased. Again, I had never purchased tequila in my life. I wasn't making margaritas at home, but has a little spice to it. So really, really good.
This is good stuff.
I'm so glad, Jesse. Good.
Yeah, no, this is fun. So what do you think of this? We're gonna move towards a topic that I think it's on people's minds, so we're gonna talk about it, and it's kind of, I'll call it this, like enhancing these non-alcoholic beverages, and that could be something as benign as something we already talked about, like hop water, ready to drink, right? It's got ashwagandha and theanine in it. Whether you feel those like psychologically or not, that eye of the beholder. But we'll start kind of easy here. Thoughts on any type of NA beverage that has an enhancement like that, like a kava, something that's supposed to calm you down, make you more focused, or we might even say this, just change your actual mental state. What are your initial thoughts on those beverages?
For me, I'm fine with those. I'm like, I'll drink those, like an Aplos. It's delicious. Doesn't bother me at all. That's my personal preference.
Yeah.
But going further, and I know this is the boom, one of the areas that is really booming in the non-alcoholic sector, and that's like adding THC. I don't know if you want to get into that yet, but adding Delta 8, things like that. That is not something I don't want to drink that. That's not something for me personally, but I know there are many, many people who that is one of the fastest segments growing in the non-alcoholic space is that.
For sure. My personal opinion on the first part is like, have at it. By first part, I mean like, because I look at it, it's like theanine, ashwagandha. You might even just call those supplements.
It's like a vitamin. I mean, right. Yeah.
And you probably, a lot of people take multivitamins that might have those types of agents in them.
Yep.
And then it's like, for someone to say, and it's not, and I'm literally just riffing right now with you, but like for someone to say like, oh, I don't want to take anything that can change my emotional state. I'm like, well, do you drink caffeine?
Right.
I mean, because it's the same kind of concept. You're consuming something to do something else, right?
Exactly.
THC, I am so on the fence. I'm so on the fence. And this is not, these are all Jesse Karajet's views.
Yeah. And same, I feel like it's for me, it's just not for me, but it's no judgment. Yeah.
Yeah. What I get is, and what I understand is, because I have so many friends that would say flat out, no, you should not use one addictive substance in replace of another. You should try to do life as sober-minded and clear-headed as you can. I have a lot of friends and I trust their judgment, and I get the idea that like if you are addicted to something and it's hurting you mentally, physically, emotionally, replacing it with something else that has the potential to do that is just not a good idea. It's not good advice to give someone. But then what I can't disregard is like I personally know people who have these amazing stories of replacing one for one in time. It's not like they went from drinking a bottle of wine and then the next day there's, I don't even know how to say it. I don't smoke weed, but like smoking a whole bowl or something. Like they give themselves time to heal and then they start introducing other things because they're still feeling that magnetic pull towards disconnecting, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But a big pointless response there, but I guess I'm just on the fence about it.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the thing. For me, I want to be aware. For me, I want to be present in my life, you know, and I feel like I numbed out for so long with my wine. I'm not looking to feel buzzed personally, but I am certainly looking to feel relaxed and go to sleep at night. So ashwagandha is helpful. But Let's go. Magnesium. Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure it's the right magnesium, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Big shout out to Momentous. We learned on this show it's magnesium threonate. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, is what I'm told. Magnesium threonate. But
Okay.
I'll even go a little deeper. I'll say this. Like I did experiment early in my journey with THC. I live in Colorado. It's not hard
Uh-huh.
to get.
Yep.
I mean, they basically come door to door and ask you if you want to come in.
Like the
I'm just kidding.
milkman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't do that, but that'd be a
Pretty
funny world
close.
if they did. But I wound up because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had a gummy, and I didn't know what I should take or whatever. And I remember sitting there and on the couch, and I was like, oh, this is a familiar feeling. I don't have my mental faculties. I feel
Mm,
like I'm
mm.
focused on this stupid movie way more than I should be. My wife is talking to me. And my inner voice is, oh no, is she gonna know that I don't know what she's talking
What's she
about? Like I
saying?
started to feel that. I guess intoxicated. I was
Yeah.
intoxicated. And if that wasn't the last time I tried it, it was close to the last time because I was like, this is just too similar to me. I'm trying to be present. I'm not trying to disconnect or disassociate that deeply. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
But it is a massively growing segment. I know a lot of there's people advocating for legislation changes to make those things more accessible. So I thought it'd be good to just mention here on
Yeah.
this show. I hope you don't mind.
No, absolutely. It's what I get asked about a lot. A
Yeah.
lot.
All right. So Deb's a no on that. I'm a maybe. Moving on.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yes. But I know many people who are, yes, full steam ahead. So,
Yeah. Well, tread lightly if you're one of those people. Be
yeah.
careful. That's
Yeah.
all Deb and I would agree. Just be careful.
Absolutely.
How about I'm just going to pull up, right? So I know NA beverages are a powerful tool to help
Mhm.
people cut back or cut out drinking.
Yep.
But you and I both would probably agree there's other tools, right? So like
Yep.
you personally, when you decided I'm done with Chardonnay and Kimmy C, in addition to the NA beverages, is there anything else that you did or focused on to kind of help you, especially in those first, call it like 90 days where your brain and your body are truly rewiring from that chronic alcohol consumption?
I did join an online community of other women who were looking to evaluate their relationship with alcohol. Not everybody I didn't even want to be sober, but just looking to moderate, looking to cut back. And that was so helpful. Having people that I could reach out to, that I could connect with, to share my struggles, they just got it. Like I didn't have to explain like, oh, when you're out and you're thinking, is he going to have another one? I'll have another one. If he's having another one, all the headspace,
Right.
all the
Yeah.
head chatter, I should say. Having a community is so vital, I think, to have people that you can connect with, that will understand. Not everybody's going to have the exact same experience, but they're going to understand. I get it, because not everybody in your life, even the people they don't understand necessarily that you're using alcohol as an escape. Maybe they see you drinking a glass of wine, but they don't realize like you've had three, or you're going to have three once they go to bed,
Right.
So
Right.
to be able to share that, I think with somebody who maybe also really gets that and has experienced that same thing is really, really powerful. So
Yeah, agreed. Did you seek out, like, just reflecting on your, where you found yourself, having sick loved ones and a marriage that was falling apart and whatnot? Like, did you seek out a community that was very niche and specific to you? Was it women of a certain age, of a certain goal, or was it more broad? What was that like?
it was pretty broad. It was just a challenge to take a break but it was women. It was only women. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Got
Turns
it.
out it's
Got
run
it.
by a guy who drinks, but that's beside the point.
Oh, geez. Was
Yeah.
that in hindsight you learned that?
Yes, very much in hindsight after I got to see behind the curtain. But in general, the people I met and the women I connected with, 100%, it really, really helped me stay on track. And having alcohol for drinks helped me stay on track. But having that community is everything. It's everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Can
think
you
it's hard to do it alone.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's therapeutic sometimes just to be able to speak your experience into existence and have someone else hear it. And I'm not alone in that. I think that there's a reason we're humans. We're supposed to be connected. And when we're going through struggles, we are not supposed to be alone.
You're right.
And this is an issue. This is an example of like, you got to tell someone, even if you're not ready to physically sit in a chair in a circle.
Yep.
Like go online, and there's even communities that I've learned about where if you want to be anonymous, you can, and you can ease your way into it or get the benefits and never have to kind of like show your face. But for anyone listening, considering, community is huge. I'm glad that was your first answer. Is there anything else you'd recommend someone who's kind of like, all right, I love learning about NAs. I'm going to use them. I'm open to a community. What else can I do?
I think just to maybe change what you're listening to. Like I started listening to sober podcasts. I had never listened to sober podcasts before. I started reading Quit Lit. I didn't even know what Quit Lit was, but literature, books about, not drinking, or, people who's had similar experiences. So just kind of filling my mind with different things, especially because I had so much time now. I wasn't zoned out in the evenings. And I did a lot of sober shopping, sober scrolling, on Instagram, following people that encourage this lifestyle and encourage, that good times were still ahead. My life wasn't over, because I really feared that. I felt like I'll never be fun. People think she's no fun, I'm still fun. I'm very fun. So
you seem fun.
Very fun.
I'm enjoying talking to you.
Yeah.
I have one more question for you, and then I want to do a quick little game that I'm literally just thought of right here. Don't worry, it'll be fun.
No,
it'll be fun. But we'll just ask it. I always love to hear, when I get the privilege to get to know someone, I always love to hear, like, looking forward, what they're excited about. And of course, I want my listeners to know where to find you specifically, and I will link to those things. You mentioned a book. There's a book that you have. But what are some things as you look forward, especially because in your niche, right, NA Beverages, this is a booming place. People want to learn about it, and I don't think that's going to change. But looking forward in the next couple of years, what are you excited about? What are you working on, and what do you want people to know about?
Oh gosh, I started something last January, and I couldn't get it. It came about because the year prior, in 2023, I could not get it out of my mind. I kept this thought of having a mocktail summit kept coming to my mind. I mean, I'd be like out doing something, I'd be like, mocktail summit. I couldn't get it out of my head. So last January, I did a virtual 3-day mocktail summit, and I brought together influencers, people who I reached out to. I thought, there's no way they're going to say yes. Like, there's no way she's going to say yes. People said yes to come on, make a mocktail with me, or share their knowledge about, non-alcoholic bitters or non-alcoholic beer. And so we did that. So I had that last January. It was during National Mocktail Week. So I'm doing that again. I'm actually just about to start filming with guests. So we're going to have that again. It'll be during National Mocktail Week in January of 2025. And I am so excited. Like, I just feel like, again, to put out like the welcome mat, like, I don't know everything, but let's bring together some experts. Let's bring together people who also love this industry, love the fun, love the good things to drink, share our knowledge, and just encourage people that there is so much. Just the drinking is not over. The hangovers can be over, but the drinking is not over. So
I love that. Make sure I'll be offended if I don't get invited. You can have me come on there, and I can do a hard workout and then funnel some hop waters and play beer pong with the hop waters.
Let's do it.
We'll show people that you can you can still have them. We'll roll in a keg of hop water, do a keg stand of hop.
Oh my gosh. Yes, totally. We could play what's the game with the red Solo cups, with the ping pongs or whatever. We could do that with non-alcoholic. I didn't do any of those games. I didn't go to a college where I was drinking, so I don't know. I need to learn. Now I need to learn the drinking games.
I didn't drink in college either, as my Pinocchio nose just grows.
Really? I really didn't. I wasn't.
My problem was I don't think I didn't not drink at college, and I still wound up graduating somehow. But anyway, here nor there. We're winding down here.
Yep.
Here's a fun little game for you, and then we'll part ways here. But I'm going to ask you rapid fire. There's going to be 4 seasons in a year. Your number one favorite mocktail for each season. I feel like seasons bring out moods, and moods bring connections and nostalgia, and people drink seasonally, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm just filling the air right now to give you some time to think. And
seriously,
that time is
I feel
now
the
up.
Jeopardy music needs to be going right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll go in order too. I'll start with the one you might be expecting, but go. Winter, best mocktail.
Okay, well, I don't know if it's the best mocktail. I would say in the winter, I love to drink non-alcoholic red wine. That would be my favorite. Okay. Is that okay to answer that?
That's perfect.
Or a hot toddy. I never had a hot toddy before. Did you ever? Hot toddy, so good. It's
not like a wrapper. Is it a wrapper?
Non-alcoholic whiskey, hot water, lemon juice. It's delicious. Yeah, hot toddy. So you can have that and some honey, some little honey in it. That's a delicious drink for the winter. Hot toddy.
Hot toddy. Now, you know what? More work for you, more homework. You're going to send some type of a link to these
recipe.
Recipes
yes, the recipe. Okay, yes. That's
All right,
in the book.
you know what's
Yeah,
coming.
I think there's a hot toddy in the book. I'm pretty
Hot
sure.
toddies?
I can't remember. I don't remember anything.
Springtime. What do you got?
Springtime, I would say like a spritz, or like a like a white wine spritzer or a white wine sangria, something like that you could have again, or like a sparkling brut, for Easter. Nice to have something, that you can have like at a fancy dinner in the springtime or outside.
All right,
But yeah, spring is fun because it's like
sparkling
patio
brut.
drinking starts up again.
Yep, exactly. Summer, can I guess? Is it going to be a spicy margarita?
So good. Okay, and I didn't know tahini seasoning, like to take a little lime and rim the edge of the glass, right? And then dip it in tahini seasoning, that like spicy Mexican seasoning. And then every sip that you get has like that extra spice. You can even muddle up some jalapenos for your drink, give it extra spice. And if you don't have like fresh jalapenos, you can even take some of the brine, like from your jar of jalapenos, like maybe if you have nacho jalapenos in your refrigerator, take a little bit of that juice, put it in your margarita, and it'll kick up the spice like incredibly.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love
so
it. This is
I
like
love the
next
spice. Yeah, I love the spice. Or non-alcoholic beers, or make a shandy, sit out on the patio,
There
sit
you
by
go.
the pool.
This is
Yeah,
next
fill your
level right
cooler.
here.
Fill your cooler all summer with non-alcoholic drinks. There's so much to drink.
Love it. And last but not least, because it's my favorite season, fall.
Fall. Okay, 2 for fall that come to mind. Anything with apple cider. You can make an apple cider mule. A mule is so easy. You can make it right in your copper cup. I didn't own a copper cup before I became alcohol free. I have one now. I will say replace your glassware. If you're looking to just drink mocktails, replace that old glassware, get some new glasswares, make new memories. But an apple cider mule, or like a cranberry mule, so easy to make. Cranberry juice, little non-alcoholic whiskey or rum, some lime juice, and ginger beer, non-alcoholic ginger beer. Delicious.
Ginger beer. There you go. On the glass topic there, I was listening to a podcast the other day. It was Pints with Aquinas, in case you're wondering. But they were talking about how important the presentation of a drink is in terms of the experience. And they actually extrapolated that up to say any experience is so dictated by the environment. But like, to your point, I mean, some of these would just be so much different. You just put it in a solo cup versus putting it in a nice glass. It's going to enhance the whole experience.
Like, wah,
That's great.
wah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wah, wah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Garnish it. Yeah. I'm the worst. I always forget garnishes because I'm like, oh, let's drink. But yes, the whole experience. Yeah. But I think also having new glassware really helps create new memories, because I had my best mom ever wine tumbler, and I have so many memories of waking up with that next to my bed, my bedside table, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I did it again. And I don't want to have non-alcoholic wine in there,
Yeah.
So
I think that's why people love coffee mugs that have connections to places they've been, or
that's
coffee
true.
mugs. It's the same concept, but just probably a different time of day.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you're right. Exactly. Yes, later in the day.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. This has been great. Anything else, Deb, that you want to share with the audience? Anything you want them to know about?
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. Thank you for everything that you're doing in this space, and for just the encouragement that you are to everybody. So thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate you having me on. Yeah, thank you.
It's been a privilege. I had a lot of fun.
Fun's not over.
For anyone listening, if 6 months from now you see a podcast called Mocktails or Deb Podlogar podcast, you know where it started, and I will expect to be involved, because it was my idea, darn it.
It was your idea. Look it up, Jamie.
Look it up, Jamie. All right, Deb, thanks for joining the Sober Shred podcast. You enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, everybody. That's the show, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Sober Strength podcast and spending some time with us today. We've got a favor to ask. If you enjoyed the show, would you please consider subscribing to the show and even leaving a rating and review? That simple act drastically helps us reach more people in our mission to help them live better, longer, healthier lives. You can also follow us, if you'd like, on Instagram and YouTube for regular tips and motivation around mental health, addiction, and so much more. Know that your support fuels our brand and is greatly appreciated. So until next time, stay strong and live deep.